It's a different way of looking at it. I see it as a painter, as an artist. And I personally am not prepared to make those compromises. I prefer not to work.
If you are going to produce arty films, isn't it the penalty that you find difficulty in finding the finance?
I'm not so certain that the films are quite as arty as people say they are. I think that's part and parcel of our problem in viewing the cinema in this country. I think if I'd been German, one would find that I was probably more mainstream.
Derek can say that 2 out of 3 of his films have been profitable. I mean, not very many directors can say that. He has been treated with remarkable inhospitality by the British film industry.
The last film was actually shot before I discovered I was HIV positive, although I think it was finished knowing that. But then everyone was HIV positive, at least in the world that I lived in, from the moment it was actually isolated in 1984. So as far as I'm concerned, I mean, you know, even if you hadn't been tested, there was a probability. And even if you weren't, nearly everyone you knew was. There was that atmosphere. Ever since, really, just after Caravaggio, I had, you know, friends dying. I don't know how many now, 20 probably, quite a lot. So it did alter everything.
Cold, cold, cold. They died so silently.
5 years ago, I publicised that I was HIV positive and in the press, and not knowing really where this would lead. I described having sex, which was immediately picked up by the tabloids, and I was accused of mass murder. This was the area which came out of painting. That aesthetic, or whatever it might be, or attitude, very much prevailed. I don't think anyone took the Super 8 film seriously. So there was no connection between Ken Russell world and this world. They were mostly just to entertain the people who came round because they were in them. Oh, let's be in a film. Sebastian started as a joke. I was just making a gay lib film. Well, it wasn't even cinema. I mean, it was, the whole idea was, the subject was more important than the film. There were other films that described the plight of homosexuals, but this wasn't anything to do with that. Sebastian was a homoerotic movie in its whole structure. I think it was the first that was ever made.
It was great that it was made when it was made. In order to understand that film, you really have to go back to the mid-70s. What they are is a method of visualising which comes through painting. They don't come through the normal film language, and therefore I'm reading my images in the way that a painter would read them. I think this is very certainly there. It's unconscious. It's the way the camera's placed. People keep on saying, oh, this is like that painting or this painting. It isn't, because when you're a painter, you don't copy a painting. Obviously, in Caravaggio, you're making a film about a painter, so you have to copy his pictures.
498, take one.
And action.
What is your name?
Michelangelo di Caravaggio.
Michelangelo. Michelangelo.
The first part of the film is Caravaggio painting these little pictures.
Answer me, my friends. Edward this day hath crowned him king anew!
I think I've been increasingly politicised over the last 10 years, and in Edward, by simple, I mean, it is a bit simplistic to invite outrage in, but in fact, that is informing my work, all my work, in fact, my painting and filmmaking at the moment.
And for the open wrongs and injuries Edward hath done to us, his queen and land, we come again in arms to wreck it all with swords.
You were indeed the great Thatcherite filmmaker. For every £200,000 film you made, real profits were seen by someone or other within at least the first 2 years. I had not worked on film when I first left university, and I knew I was a performer, but I was working in the theatre because that's what was available to me, and I hadn't yet discovered the camera and hadn't met Derek Jarman, which is how that happened. I just learned really fast, like all young people do. You know, it's a very good lesson to decide what you don't want to do.
With one word, how was working with Derek Jarman?
Sublime. I had run away to join a different circus myself,
Yours, Planet Germania. You were the first person I met who could gossip about St. Thomas Aquinas and hold a steady camera at the same time, as you did at our first meeting. I thought it would be good to hang out with you for 6 weeks. I guess we had things to say. I have always wholeheartedly treasured in your work the whiff of the school play. It tickles me still, and I miss it terribly. The antidote it offers to the mirror ball of the marketable, the artful without the art, the meaningful devoid of meaning, is meat and drink to so many of us looking for that dodgy wig.